but posting up on pictures of nice cars and like, you know, because if you get those angles right, it look like I'm on a trip somewhere outside in the backyard and you know, like, and so we get this concept, oh, like you get FOMO.
The pleasure principle of getting likes, or however many likes you get, it kind of validates this expression on this version of self.
Cardi B, you know, started on social media and she blew up, right? And so now you look at how many followers she has, she can demand a certain amount of money based off the number of followers she got. And so that becomes the template that people are now using for social media.
Now we have social media bullies, and there have been kids who have killed themselves.
Cyberbullying.
Because of cyber. Thank you for the term, doctor. How do we address that aspect?
I think it's a part of teaching self-love. I think early on, some people have been instilled with loving themselves, every aspect, every flaw. And some children, they know how to navigate just the social aspect of engaging with students and just their peers a little bit more than others. We really respond to extremes, like, and that's kind of what I hate about social media sometimes when it comes to cyberbullying. We really pay attention to all the extreme cases of, you know, people who may commit suicide or who may hurt themselves because of something bullying happening on the internet or social media. But that's a rare case. We have people every day who are bullying, who are John, who are ranked on, like, and nothing really happens. So we have to figure out a balance. We really need to figure out a balance. How do we teach people to have tough skin? Because it's not going to change. My mom and dad talk about being bullied or joked on in high school. It sticks with them to this day, so I understand the trauma. However, we need to really teach self-love and just understanding that.
And for me, I think it starts with using your sphere of influence. So for me, on my social media, I just take the time to kind of engage certain individuals that I might have a particular relationship with, or just my small following compared to others, you know, and just kind of address certain things that come up with me that I've seen through, or I've recognized through my teaching or my matriculation through this PhD program or through discussions with you all or other individuals that those individuals probably aren't going to be exposed to. You know, so when I'm saying this, I'm talking about how you present yourself on social media, how you encounter or debate others on social media or things like that. You know what I mean? So just kind of being able to negotiate that, but going back to your point, just using my platform that I have to talk about the best ways of doing that, or to ask people to think critically about certain things. Because sometimes you get on there, you just typing, you're writing, you comment on somebody's stuff, and it's like, think critically about what you're saying, how that might affect them, how that might affect you in the future, those sorts of things.
Right.
I think that's a very good point. Daylon brought a point up earlier about this perception of perfection via social media, right? For me, I get anxiety when I have to.
What's Dwayne?
That was the other D. What's Dwayne?
He said he won his credit. Cite right.
There you go.
Right.
I need my citation, brother.
My apologies. Somebody other than me said it, but really, that's not the point. The point is that, like, even when I try to present myself on social media, just knowing, like, oh my God, Phil, you're about to get a PhD, but like, what if this comma's out of place? Like, what if this isn't expressed right? It's an unconscious thing that Dwayne spoke to earlier. It was the unconscious that, the way that we get sucked into it, right? And then, like, you start commenting because you're getting your feelings about stuff, right? You said it's green. I say it's pink. You heard Yanni. I heard Laurel. It's
I didn't
blue.
listen to that,
It's
John.
red.
I didn't listen.
I heard Laurel.
See, I'm like lost. I'm lost.
It was like more white country, but that's the accent I got. Forgive me.
But to your point, you bring up a good point. Because I'm younger than y'all, right?
And he always say that. Like, but when we called him young, he was like, I'm 1 year younger than you.
No, but I am. Development wise, I'm being exposed to different stuff now. So I learn from y'all even when we're recording these episodes. So when I'm on social media, I really not to say I don't have a filter, but I just really say what I want. Like I don't care about typos. I'm the king of typos. I mean, you can judge me for that. I mean, I still do things that you can't do. So I don't get caught up in that. I don't get caught up in that because if I present myself as perfect all the time, when I do make a mistake, you're gonna hang that over my head. So I'm like, look, I'm gonna be me and I'm regular. Like if you use these degrees and things that we're trying to get as this metric of validation, then a normal person can educate me on the topic as well. So like, don't rank. I don't believe in that. So I'm not gonna try to be perfect.
I think it's less about trying to be perfect and more about actually reflecting upon how much we do care about how we present ourselves, right? And so there are times and instances and settings where you're like, all right, whatever, it's whatever, you're gonna take it how you take it, here's what it is. But there are other times when we don't do that. And I feel like even when you think about how you select what profile picture you put up, or when you take a couple of them, but you like, I'm gonna pick that one and I'm gonna brighten it up a little bit because I want them to see how this jacket pop, right? So like, it's like, it's this piece of like how we all do it. It's just some people don't have the wherewithal to see that they're doing it for everything, right? And to see how it impacts them because it becomes a point where they're no longer doing things because they want to do it, and that's who they are. Right. More so, they're doing it because they want to get some type of attention, or they want to have this. They want to manage people's impressions of them, right? And so you're at a place in your life where you got this education, you have these experiences where you can decide when and where you do it because you're going to be successful either way, right? There are other people who don't have those luxuries and don't have those experiences, and so all they know is I got to do whatever I need to do to make it look like I got it all together. And I think a perfect a caveat to that is that's the black family, right? You have to have this facade that everything's perfect. You don't give the air that nothing is wrong, right? So when we talk about what happens in the house stays in the house, all the stuff that's going on that's wrong, all the chaos, all the trauma, all the belittling and berating, you just got to put your good face on. And so that, I think, transfers over to social media too, in the sense of like, well, I can't lead with my flaws. I can't have these mistakes because people ain't supposed to know that I'm fallible. And I think it goes back to this, like the earlier point. So you at a place now where you can kind of differentiate, but the problem is we don't have enough people that are out there that are like us that don't care, or do care but don't care enough to let it change who we are.
And I think that's a higher level tool that we have, though. Because so we have to figure out a way. Because I put a lot of pressure, not necessarily pressure on myself, but I know some of the onus is on me to help others who haven't been exposed to the things I've been exposed to. The things that you're speaking about, and recognizing we have those tools to do that, but others don't have those tools. So how do we help them to borrow maybe what we have, or how do we help them to seek that type of higher level understanding and just, I guess, understanding of certain things.
To your point, you like. Even like I guess a text to life connection. Like for you, I learned something from you. We were talking before about like just relationships and just having responsibility of being. And you were speaking about just your wife and your child. You put them on social media, like you champion them because you say like I have this responsibility to be an upstanding guy in my relationship. So people are looking at me. And I gotta hold that. I gotta be that. I gotta be this guy or the man that I'm supposed to be. So having that example just right here, or just within a reach of a text message, like that's kind of changing. So for me, like I champion my girl now. Like I don't have to like not be the man. Like I tell her how it is and make sure that I articulate those points. So just that's an example of how using your social media and presenting yourself a way that is freeing. It allows people to freely express who they really are. So,
again, I think things come back to context as well too, because there was a point made about how we present ourselves, but the converse to that is when people tell all their business. And social media is not therapy, but for some people it is therapeutic.
I'm not dude.
And that's well. I mean, the thing is like, because we get annoyed too. Like we get annoyed. Damn, they telling Go get some friends. Get
You ain't
some
gotta watch.
You know what I mean? Like
Skip,
you
swipe
don't.
away.
But the thing is
Unfollow.
so when we talk about boundaries, right? Like we can lose boundaries in the context of a social media area, right? And so it's like, where are the boundaries drawn too far? Is this attention seeking, or are they really crying out for help too? And in terms of the interventions that we need to implement, one I would suggest is that we take a step back from social media at least once a week or 1 hour a day, or however you choose to do it, because you got to get out of that fantasy play world, and you got to actually live and be in the real world, and then you can delineate and you can determine or decipher what's real and what's fake.
I don't know if I agree or disagree. I hear what you're saying. I think it's a good point. I feel like, just as a point of clarity for me, like, I put stuff up there that normal people won't put up there. I think going to you guys' point, it's just to kind of like model, like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like just because you see me putting pictures up at this party or with this celebrity or at or traveling abroad, that it ain't also other stuff that goes on. Like yesterday, I put up that my washing machine broke, was running all day, and I'm like, I don't know if the water bill gonna be high or not. That's a real thing to me, right?
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna sit here and try to play this perfect life for everybody and not put up stuff that goes wrong. And I don't think it's necessarily attention seeking in the way that I'm like, somebody come see about me, come help me, but other people may think about it like that. And so I feel like I said all that to say, I don't really know, like, what's the balance or what the boundary is. I feel like it's person specific, but I do think that the important thing is two things that come up for me. It's first is modeling, right? And that's what I always go back to, because that's how we learn. And to you guys' point, posting the stuff that's positive, that's family oriented, that shows that you don't have to be perfect. That's one level of modeling, right? And then I think about the other issue of just like being able to hold all those things and still be okay and not have to have some type of mental illness that's attributed to that, or all that, everything be blamed on social media, right? And I just lost my train of thought for the second point. But the other part that I was thinking about is, like, aside from like that piece, here's the other piece, is like having people around you that know who you are and know you enough so that if it does look like you crying out for help, or it does look like, you acting different, that they can check on you. So in some ways, it feels like social media could also help save some people, right? If you see somebody that's just like crying out for attention or doing a lot of things that's extra, that might be a cue or a cry out for somebody to be like, hey, are you good? You're not really looking like yourself right now. So I don't know, I'm kind of stuck. I feel like, and that's probably why I got stuck trying to say it, because I'm stuck in my mind about how do we balance both of those things.
And that's crazy, because I just recently posted something on Facebook quite similar to what you're talking about. Individual was saying a number of different things on social media, like making posts about suicide, making posts, not even necessarily saying it, well, his last post was about suicide, but the ones leading up to that were kind of like, man, I'm frustrated, all kind of different things were going on. So I reached out to him through a private message. Was that?
No, go ahead.
I reached out to him.
Shad Moss come back at people.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, you feel me? What's going on? What's happening? And he was like, man, just doing my thing out here, and I don't want to get specifics, but he said, doing my thing out here. And I said, well, okay. And I said, well, what about the things you've been posting? So then that led to additional conversation about, well, this is going on, and I'm frustrated about this, and family issues or whatever. So I just kind of did some, some intervention, through social media. So like you're saying, sometimes, if it's somebody you have that kind of relationship with, you can reach out and say, hey, let me check in, see how you're doing. Or if you don't have that relationship, because some of these individuals that I might reach out to on social media, I don't have a relationship with them at all. But I recognize, it's being in the field that I'm in, and knowing the things that I know, I recognize this person has something going. Let me follow. Let me just check in and say, hey, I don't really know you, know of you. It seems like something might be going on. What's happening? I think that speaks back to me feeling like those who do know have the onus to reach out.
Just to make this point, because you got to move on, face. I think we're not acknowledging too, like, social media, it gives people who don't have an outlet, but also social media gives people inspiration to do more than they have in their immediate circle or their environment. I see people from high school that never talked at all. They didn't talk in class, didn't have many friends, but they are active every day on social media.
With that data personality.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just real. And we can't just put quotas on that too, though. I'm sorry. We can't just put quotas on that. Like you said, is it too much? Where are the boundaries? As an individual, I can't tell you you're talking too much on Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media platform you use.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, because I feel like y'all, jumping on my point. But
you try to come out of us. When you use social media,
but
it's because you absent.
There's a whole saying that says, when you throw a stone, a hit dog will holler, okay? And some of y'all, right now, no, I'm just joking. What happens is, I never said what you can or cannot say. I'm saying that this is the converse to the other side of the conversation about presenting perfection. The opposite of that is presenting all your problems and being like that. But I think it can be a good space event, but then some things, you may need help for, and that's real. Right. And if I don't like it, what I like to do is click that unfollow button,
you can unfollow
or mute, or if it comes to that block.
Right? So but I think it's something for everybody. Like I was talking to my colleagues the other day. There's a lady on social media who y'all seen her? She eats food in the mic and it makes sounds, right? And it's she got a huge following. Like people are really addicted or attracted to hearing her crunch on food, and she whispers too, right? There's people who post what they do for their job. There's people who so I feel like it's something for everybody. And if it's not for you, you got that option to unfollow. But I think my point was more so what we need to get away from is trying to police it and move more towards just giving people different examples of how they can use it and how they don't have to be so obsessed with this perfection piece. Because I think what tends to happen is when you get into those conversations, people start to blame social media for all the mental health problems that people have. And I don't think it's correlation equals causation. I think it's both and in terms of the people who are on social media that have those problems, they had them problems before they got social media, right? Absolutely. Does social media make it worse? In some instances, yes. Does social media help some people who have some issues with talking in person to people, but they can talk online? Yes. So it's different for every person, but I think the biggest point is being able to have these conversations and get people thinking critically. And that's really what I think we were talking about before the show started, of really addressing we're not here to tell you guys what to do and how to do it. We're not here to say this is right and this is wrong because we mental health professionals. It's more so just to get everybody thinking critically. You can agree, you can disagree, you can have your comments. We're not gonna come out and fight you and argue back and forth in the comments. We just saying this is our perspective, and we actually putting it together in a space and talking about things that regular people don't want to talk about or don't want to address, especially men. Because it almost always felt like for me growing up, it was hot or cold, yes or no, very dichotomous, like black or white. There was no gray, there was no conversation. It was do as I say, not as I do, and it was this is what it is. And so what we're here doing is really just talking about our experiences and hoping that people can take something from that.
Right, and I think that is a good place to wrap up for this conversation. There's a lot that we can say about it, and because I think we get a lot of parents that comment about, I got boys, this, that, and what should we do? So our advice is always you have the conversation with them. You set the context, you set the expectations. So as the advent of social media happens and as it progresses to become whatever it becomes, we're going to have to change as a society, as a culture, as a people. And it may be outside of our bandwidth because we are not of that generation, but you just, you have to adjust. So as the parents do that, and then they're going to be positive or pros, but then there are also unintended consequences. And so that's what we want to avoid, the unintended consequences of what we think social media might be. So thank you for your likes, your shares, your comments, and we do encourage you to share, comment, tag. Thank you, because that does help us. And if you have something to say, please feel free to email us. It's in the link. Shout us out, put us on your page, ask us questions, and we will respond.
Now he asking for shares after he ain't want nobody on social media.
Also be mindful that we can't comment and respond to everybody that comes into the DMs. Absolutely. Sometimes it's really not appropriate for us to respond because we're not here to diagnose. We're here to guide you to the help that you need.
And there is help out there. It just may not be here. All right.